Battle, aka Nino's Corner, man. First off, if you like this content that's coming to you, go hit that subscribe button. It means a lot. I'm not gonna go through the normal intros that I always do because I got some people, from the other side. I'm gonna call them brothers from another, man. My boy Seth and Chris from the Horns Down podcast. Now I know Texas fans, it pains you to hear me say Horns Down, but these some good fellas, man. We're gonna kick it off and have a nice little talk today about OU and Texas going to the SEC. What's up, guys?
What's up, man? What's up? How you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. Blessed and highly favored, and thanks to you guys for coming, man. Let's just get into it, man. How does OU and Texas play? Does OU and Texas play, guys, in the 2022 season? What's the time frame, guys? What do you guys think?
Well, I'll actually chime in on this. I would say there's about a 95% chance, in my opinion, there's about a 95% chance that OU and Texas are in the SEC, like in SEC play next season, 2022. I think everything has just moved way too fast. Obviously, this has reportedly been in the works now for 6+ months. So especially with the news. I think the news that gave me the most confidence in saying that is a couple days ago that I saw, maybe it was a day ago, that the money that ESPN still owes Texas for the LHN contract,
$160 million.
Yeah, they're going to use that. OU Texas is going to use that money to help the buyout from the Big 12. So I mean, if they're already talking that, if we're already hearing that as the public,
it's a wrap.
I don't see the Big 12 beyond 2021, including OU and Texas. But maybe that's just me. But
hey, man, Seth, I'm gonna tell you something. When I read that about the $160 million, man, and I'm thinking to myself, is Texas gonna help OU get out the Big 12? Are we gonna use this to help you guys get out the Big 12 too?
What I would say is that a lot of people have been thinking about this in terms of numbers. I think it's well publicized that the two ways that they can get out is obviously what Seth said, and then the next way is just wait it out and see. The Big 12 could dissolve tomorrow. I think today has kind of been a long day for everybody because we're just waiting to see what the SEC does. How do they respond? So I mean, OU and Texas really pulled everybody's card in the Big 12, and they basically just said like, hey, we're out. See you guys. You guys do good on your own. So I mean, I think that they do play in 2022. At worst, 2023, but I think in 2022 they will be playing an SEC schedule simply because I mean you have ESPN and back channels basically putting pressure not only on. I mean, they're putting pressure on everybody. Fox Sports, the Big 12, the SEC, because they want this to happen. When you hear that they're willing to renegotiate a $3 billion deal with the SEC for TV rights, come on now. What does that say to you?
It says that it's about to happen next year, man. I'm with you, Chris. At the latest,
my last point I just want to point out is that it's not Texas helping OU, it's OU helping Texas. Okay. All right, just want to get that out there. All right,
hey,
okay.
Both brands stand on their own, right? We could do whatever we want. Both brands could, but it always is better when Texas and OU are playing against each other or in the same conference. It just makes sense, man. Like, you guys are our biggest rival. We're you guys' biggest rival. Texas A&M thinks they're our biggest rival, but they're not. You guys are. Pretty sure, like Okie State thinks that they're you guys' biggest rival. It's not. We all know when we get down to the Cotton Bowl, man, the old Cotton Bowl, and that stadium is split half and half. That is the rivalry between these two schools, man. But yeah, I'm with you guys, man. 2023 at the latest. Too much money to be involved, right? Even with the SEC, if Texas and OU goes over there, man, there's a chance that every team in the SEC can make $70 million from a split. $70 million, upwards of $70 million. That's a lot of money. That's $15 million more than what these teams are making now. right? So, money talks and BS walks, right? So everybody wants this to happen. We got the money with the failing channel that we got. I'm going to admit the Longhorn Network is not what it should have been, right? It's not what Texas fans thought that it was going to be, but it was a trailblazer to kind of start the SEC network, the ACC network. It was basically the first thing that was there, and people said, this sucks from it. Let's take that out of it, and let's make this network. But they do owe us a lot of money on it, and if we can leverage that money to get into the SEC, that's perfect, man.
I would say the best thing about the Longhorn Network is turning directly to that channel after a tough loss for Texas. Seeing Ricky Williams.
Chris, you pulling punches.
Look, seeing Ricky Williams on there with his helmet of a head go this way and that way in confusion is priceless. Look, I would pay money for them to keep the Longhorn Network simply for that fact right there. I'm just saying.
Don't be talking about Ricky like that, man. Don't be talking about Ricky like that. All right? Hey, man, but this is staying with the Big 12 talk, man. So what happens to the rest of the Big 12, right? So we know Texas and OU is gone by 2022, 2023 at the latest. What happens to the rest of the Big 12?
I Seth, I'm gonna jump in here. I think it's really interesting because I've talked to some people, especially my uncle about this, and he said we talk every day about this whenever I get a lunch break. But God, dog, the Big 12 is in disarray. I mean, the American Athletic Conference, they want to come and get teams. The Pac-12 is trying to poach teams. The Big 10 is trying to poach teams. I feel like one of the things that people should know is that, people have linked Texas Tech with the Pac-12, which, I guess that could work. They've linked OSU with the Pac. It doesn't work because of the times, You have to tell, I know a lot of OSU fans have really went in on it on Twitter as far as hey, we don't want 9 a.m. games and we don't want to play it 10 p.m. games as well. Nobody's going to watch that, And I think another interesting fact about the Pac-12 is that teams like Baylor and TCU have been linked to them, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Pac-12 has something in their bylaws about religious schools being affiliated with the Pac-12. Yeah. So that's a point to definitely not overlook. But when you look at it, you're saying that, you're probably looking at OSU, Iowa State, and Kansas going to the Big Ten. You're looking at Baylor, TCU, and K-State possibly going to either the American, the Mountain West. There's all types of stuff, out there about them. And then as far as Texas Tech, I really don't know. But, Seth, maybe you have a better, idea of where most of those teams go.
If we're going to assume that the 8 teams that are in the Big 12 that aren't part of this, a Big 12 to SEC deal like OU and Texas are, if we're to assume that those teams are going to stay at the Power 5 level, it's not going to be, in my opinion, I don't think we're going to stay at 5. I think we're going to eventually shift to 4 super conferences. But how they divide up from there, I've heard a lot of Texas Tech to Pac-12 as far as that's kind of a lot of people are kind of making that fit, and I don't know, we'll see. It's definitely going to be a challenge. It's going to be kind of like the same thing as West Virginia and being in the Big 12, in my opinion. Yeah. Then I think West Virginia is a natural fit if they're going to leave for the ACC, and then the only 2 teams that I'm confident in saying that they would fit in the Big 10 as far as at least from an athletic standpoint, whether it's football or basketball, is Iowa State and Kansas, but. In Kansas, obviously, for the basketball program, because we all know what they are in football. But the team that I'm mostly worried about out of all of this is honestly Kansas State, because I don't know if they're valuable enough in really any athletic program from an athletic program's standpoint. And it just doesn't seem like there's a really natural kind of slam dunk fit for them. And then on the other end of the spectrum with Oklahoma State, I don't know if there's a natural fit, but they're on the opposite end of the Kansas State spectrum, where I feel like they are very valuable as an athletic program. It's a very solid football, basketball, baseball, softball, etc. But just geographically, they're going to be. I feel like they're going to be kind of an outlier wherever they end up, since it's not going to be in the SEC, at least not not anytime soon, unless they want to expand beyond 16. Which even if they do that, I feel like SEC is just going to look east instead of further west or another Oklahoma team. So those are kind of my thoughts on what might happen. And like y'all brought up, TCU and Baylor being like the private religious schools. I don't really know where they fit either. I mean, I know a lot of people wouldn't care if Baylor just kind of fell off the face of the planet.
That's off a cliff somewhere.
That's probably the school that a lot of people aren't too worried about unless they're Baylor fans. But everyone else, I don't know.
Seth, I was going to
Poor
say,
Dave Aranda, man. Poor Dave Aranda. He just got that job. Got a nice raise to go over there, and then the conference disbands, and he's already at Baylor. That's one strike, and then there's no conference the next year. It's just crazy over there, man. I feel really bad for him, to be honest.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy.
Hey, hear me out on this. All right, K-State to the Sun Belt Conference.
Come on, Conference USA at least.
Hey, I got one more. Hear me out on this. Kansas to the Big Ten for every sport except for football. Football, they go to the FCS. I think that's magic.
I mean,
I think everybody wins in that situation.
I mean, there's like a slight precedent for something like that, because I don't know if it's still going on, but I know at some point in wrestling, North Dakota State wrestling was in the Big 12, but obviously they're an FCS football team. Yeah. So maybe we could see something like that where they just leave Kansas basketball and some other sports at the Division I, like 1A level, and then just leave football. I don't know. They might even be better just cutting football. Like, honestly, Lance Leipold, I think, is a good coach. They just got him this after all the Les Miles drama that happened this offseason, which seems like forever ago when we got all this going on, in the last week. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't see Kansas football being worth moving a bunch of big pieces for a long time.
Yeah, I'm with you. So, the whole Texas Tech thing, this is what gets me. Texas Tech going to the Pac-12. Is that going to happen? I don't know if that's really going to happen, because, the Pac-12 is really big on the academic side of the house, right? They're really big on the academic side of the house. And Texas Tech, nothing against them. I got friends who went to Tech, but when you start to stack it up against USC and a Cal Berkeley and a Stanford, something, one of these is not like the other, right? But I can see it fitting too, because Texas Tech, just a little bit of Texas market that is there. California is going to try to get whatever's left over from the SEC, right? Because now the SEC has the whole Texas market, with the South. I mean, they're going to get East Texas, they're going to get Dallas, Austin, they're going to get Houston. But any little bit of piece, like if Texas Tech has a small smidgen, the Pac-12 can come in and scoop that up. But as far as like the academic side of the house, I just don't know if the Pac is going to really want them to come to the conference just because of the academics. Oklahoma State's tricky, though. I think Oklahoma State would be a nice fit for them if they want to have that 11 o'clock time slot, right? That's one thing that the Pac-12 is missing right now. They don't have any 11 o'clock time slots because of the way that the games are, right? Right. So I was saying, I was in Cali, for 4 years, and I remember watching games starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. And they would end at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Like they were done. Like every game was done. Mine is like the Pac-12 after dark game that nobody wanted to watch, right? But like all the games, dude, it was like 9 o'clock in the morning and 6 at night, and I was like still able to go out with the wife, go party, go get something to eat, whatever we want to do. But they are missing that 11 o'clock time slot. And if they get a team like Okie State, they can have somebody in that time slot every other week. you know, so that can increase their revenue because their network is failing. Like their network is horrible.
But who is
Conference
going?
champions.
OSU, exactly. I couldn't believe that their president got up there and really gave that speech like, well, we have a historic run of championships, and we're not proactively seeking teams. I was like, yes, you are. But I don't necessarily think that OSU fans would be happy about 11-day kickoffs, you know, weekly, every week. You know, they definitely enjoy their tailgating down there. I would say, staying in that same topic, y'all, can we not place all of the blame squarely on the shoulders of Bob Bowlesby? I know a lot of people want to, you know, say, oh, well, nobody gets excited about seeing OU play K-State. Who cares about Texas, you know, playing Kansas and Iowa State and those teams? Granted, Iowa State is relevant this year, and we all agree on that. But you know, I think Bob Bowlesby, he missed it. He missed his chance years and years ago. You had teams like Florida State who expressed interest. You had the whole state of freaking Florida almost. You had a bunch of those teams like South Florida, UCF. Not
UCF
even just
one. He bought it.
Yeah, you had teams out there, Louisville, Yeah, you had people calling for BYU to come in, and granted, there was a lot of presidents who were like, "No, let's not do this." But I know David Boren was really, really proactive and you know, trying to get those teams. Bob Bowlesby, I would say that the blame falls squarely on his shoulders because he missed several chances to improve this league, and not only with those teams. We can say what we want to say about South Florida. We can say what we want to say about UCF. However, getting into those regions for recruiting and TV exposure and all other types of you know, financial avenues, you really missed your chance back then to really show OU and Texas that, hey, we're trying to make an effort, but you got to work with us. OU is, I feel like, granted, you know, I feel like we have more tradition than Texas, but OU,
child, please.
OU has became the blue collar worker, you know, that lunch pail type of let's work our way to success, and we want to show you the path. Okay, Texas has always been arrogant because they got money. Okay, so we got
the money. We the Joneses, baby.
The money.
We the Joneses.
But I feel like Bob Bowlesby, though, he really missed his chance to make a mark back in the day. Back when we were all in our, late teens, early teens, getting through college or whatever what we were doing, you know, he missed his mark.
He definitely did, man. Not getting that Florida market. I mean, hey, it was staring us right there in the face. Like UCF wanted to be in the conference. South Florida wanted to be in the conference. I mean, it was right there in our face, screaming, "Come get me!" Not getting Louisville, like you said, Chris. Come on, man. Like Louisville, I mean, they're actually doing really well in the ACC. They had a Heisman Trophy winner. You know, they played some good ball over there, man. So, you know, just imagine if we would have had a Louisville and, you know, you get a Lamar Jackson in the conference and you have him doing this thing. I mean, it just brings so much more excitement to the conference. And he totally botched it, man. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what he was doing, what he was drinking, whatever, but he botched the whole situation when it came to expanding the Big 12.